What will life be like for LiAngelo, LaMelo in Lithuania? The good news for LiAngelo and LaMelo Ball is that there are cheeseburgers and other American fast food and malls, even if they might be a bit of a drive from the small village where their Lithuanian team is based. And a lot of people who speak English. And, of course, internet. I mean, it's not as hard as everyone is kind of making it to be on TV, said Derrick Low, the former Washington State star who spent 3 years playing in Lithuania after his college career ended. But it is different. It's a time to grow up. Low, who now trains basketball players through PROformance Hawaii, is one of dozens of American athletes to have played in Lithuania, which, as Charles Barkley pointed out on ESPN on Wednesday morning, has a strong basketball history. More than 30 players from Lithuania, according to RealGM, play in the NCAA this season. Derrick Low, app photo, Chuck Burton. The two younger Balls, whose brother Lonzo is a guard for the Lakers, aren't there to grow up in the same way other Americans have. They're much younger. LiAngelo left UCLA a few months into his freshman season because he was facing a lengthy suspension after being caught shoplifting in China. LaMelo, 16, has given up his high school and any chance at a college career because their father, LaVar, wants to circumvent the NCAA and find a different path to the NBA for his youngest sons. Age, and the fame that comes from having a controversial father, shouldn't change what LiAngelo and LaMelo need to do to fit in with their new teammates. They just gotta work hard, Lithuania native and Raptors forward Jonas Valanciunas told reporters on Tuesday. It's all about working. You can be as good as you can be by working. Talent is one, but how much work you put in, that's gonna show up. The Ball brothers, according to a tweet from the Big Baller brand account, signed a deal with Vytautas. The team is coached by Virgin Ceskis, who according to Low and Billy Barron, who played for Ceskis, doesn't speak English. When Low was in Lithuania, he said, most players lived in apartments close to the gym. It's not clear what the Balls have in their contract, however, or what their dad will choose to have them do. They do have money, so I don't know if they're going to just have their own spot or whatever, Low said. In Lithuania, said Low, clubs are big on playing defense and run structured offenses. You know, a lot of motion, a lot of pick and roll, but not the high volume shots that everyone sees on Instagram from the Balls. It's going to be a wake-up call. You know, if they're willing to learn, willing to adjust to a different style of basketball, I don't see why they can't use that time as a learning experience. Brandon Davis, a former BYU player who has spent time in the NBA, France and now plays for Žalgiris Kaunas in the Lithuanian Basketball League, said it's an underrated league. Depending on the team you're on, there's not as much run and gun and things like that. It's a lot of half-court, outthink your opponent, he said. At least when it comes to his team, he said, the fans are great. They recognize him when he's out on the street and sometimes stop for a quick photo, but don't go nuts. They're really respectful. They're not just going to bombard you or anything like that. Everyone on bigger teams, you're pretty much the face of the town wherever you're at, he said. The Ball brothers, according to people who have played, can expect 2 practices a day. You wake up, go practice, come back, eat, rest up a little. I found myself watching movies online, watching TV shows, and then you go back to evening practice and then you just do the same thing every day, Low said. That's why I think it's not for everybody. You have to be content with what you have over there. But not everyone has had as positive of an experience as Low. Ben Brust, a former Wisconsin player who spent a season in Lithuania and is now an analyst for the Big Ten Network and ESPN Madison, immediately tweeted this week that the Ball brothers were looking at a disastrous situation, especially for players who haven't even had the experience of playing in college yet. Look, LaMelo's a 16-year-old kid and I don't root against these kids. I want them to be successful. They're just kids trying to find their way in a situation that was presented to them, he told For the Win. But LaMelo's a 16-year-old kid playing against grown men. LaMelo has braces on and the guys he's going to be playing against have gray hair. Davis said he didn't know enough about the Ball brothers' situation to assess their ability to get to the NBA from the Lithuanian league, though their father has promised they will all eventually be on the Lakers together. But for his growth, he's confident about what his team is offering. "When it comes to our facilities and our coaches, there's everything I need here," he said. "It's hard to say for the smaller clubs that are here in Lithuania that aren't EuroLeague. Their gyms are smaller, their budget's smaller, there's a lot of different aspects that go into that." LiAngelo and LaMelo would be the youngest players on the team that competes in Lithuania's top league, but could end up playing in the lower-level Baltic League to get more playing time. Barron, who played for the Ball's future coach at Lietuvos Rytas, told CBS Sports that he thinks the language issue is going to be a problem. "It doesn't really work, haha," he wrote in an email to CBS when asked how it works playing for a coach that doesn't speak the language. "It's very tough, especially when they are trying to teach you something and you can just see how tough it is to grasp what he's trying to get across. The front office at Rytas at the time signed me, and then told the coach basically when it was official. It wasn't his choice." Mary Lingenfeld USA Today Sports Low disagreed. He said that everyone on the roster will likely speak English. "You'll have people on staff that will speak English, he said. "Maybe that coach doesn't speak English but there's always going to have to be someone, and there's always that translator, so the language barrier won't be a problem." Davis agreed that there's usually someone who speaks English around, especially the younger generation. "On my team, everything's pretty much done in English but the things that aren't, there's always a translator who translates everything into English. But, unfortunately that's not how it is on every team," he said. "There's some teams that the coach doesn't speak English and there's one or two assistants that speaks English. Depending on your situation and where you go, I can see it being a problem for some." In a statement, via the vertical Shamstrania, the club said it is excited for the arrival of the Ball brothers. "We are committed to their long-term success and development as professional basketball players." More, Tony Stewart was in a terrifying crash while racing in New Zealand. Former Wisconsin player says Ball brothers in Lithuania is a disaster waiting to happen. What will life be like for LiAngelo, LaMelo? Lithuanian league players share their experience. LiAngelo Ball said he only thanked Donald Trump because UCLA told him to pro golfer shows off his ridiculously calloused hands.